But here's why how-to content may not always feel good to you. It could feel preachy or condescending, and it might trigger your imposter syndrome a lot, therefore feeling inauthentic and disingenuous, which takes you directly out of your power. You're listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. I'm your host, Jill Perrick, a business and mindset coach who specializes in imposter syndrome. If you feel like you're not as smart, capable, or worthy as you actually are, and that someone is going to find you out, then you've come to the right place. I went from being a struggling government worker, working my coaching business on the side, but feeling unworthy and burnt out, to making multiple six figures helping women overcome imposter syndrome so they too can sign clients, make bank, and have the business or career of their dreams. I am nothing special. I have a stuttering disability, ADHD, and I struggle with anxiety and depression. So if I can learn how to feel good enough and overcome my inner imposter, then so can you. Let's dig in. Hello, angels. Welcome back to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. I'm your host, Jill Perrick, and I am so happy to have you here. When you're listening to this, we have celebrated my fiance's 31st birthday on the 17th. And I know, he's a Gemini, but he's a very nice Gemini man. And tomorrow is Hugo, who is our Chihuahua. It's his 9th birthday. And if you're a client, you have more than likely heard me tell him to shut the fuck up when he starts barking and I'm on calls. He is such a little dickhead. And he also was yapping away a bit earlier when I was recording other episodes of the podcast. So I'm sure you've heard him one time or another. But I am looking forward to sharing all my thoughts with you today on the shift in your content that you need to make like today, because it will really feel like a shift for you and for your audience. But first, I want to invite you, specifically my loyal listeners who have been with me for so long and are on the edge, to apply to Fraud to Six Figures, my one-to-one coaching program. You know that you are ready for the support, for the next level growth, for the shift in your identity. And to be honest, a lot of my clients start working with me and say it's because they finally got sick of their shit. They got sick of not holding themselves to their highest selves, and they know that there's potential leaking all over the place, and that's what I'm good at. I help you hone in on your unique expert energy, create a coaching business that will grow to six figures and beyond, and remove your limiting beliefs, your fear, your scarcity, and the imposter syndrome that stops you from going all in on yourself and owning your power. Fraud to Six Figures is a one-to-one coaching program with 2 contract options, 3 months or 6 months, and all the information you need is on the application, which you can find at the first link in my show notes of this episode. Apply now before spaces are full for 2023. Now let's get into the episode. As a coach who creates content online, there are so many different philosophies and ideas as to how to attract clients with your content. None of them are wrong, let me just say that. There will be seasons where one kind of content will feel so much better than other kinds, but none of it is ever wrong. And content and messaging are things that you will always be tweaking. Let me just say that as well. I never want anyone to listen to or read my content and use it as an opportunity to shame themselves. So once again, there is no right or wrong when it comes to the online industry, okay? Okay, so one of the ways that people create content to create authority is how-to content. To build credibility, how-to content is an opportunity to show your ideal client how you can help them and what you're an expert in. But here's why how-to content may not always feel good to you. It could feel preachy or condescending, and it might trigger your imposter syndrome a lot, therefore feeling inauthentic and disingenuous, which takes you directly out of your power. So what do we do instead? Because we still have to show up and create content so we can make money. And this simple shift in your content that will totally change the game is changing your how-to content to how I content. How I made 6 figures in my 3rd year of being a coach. How I overcame this difficult thing. How I stopped comparing myself. I love this shift, and let me tell you why. First, it requires you to see value in your story, in your transformation. You guys hear me talk about this all the time, but this will really help you release your shame and see the importance of your lived experience. It will help you see that everything you've gone through or experienced can be of immense value to your soulmate client, especially when you're tapped into what your soulmate client wants to achieve. This shift helps you build natural authority and trust without being condescending or preachy, and it doesn't give off an "I know more than you" kind of vibe. Sometimes how-to content can feel very much like you should be doing this. And while yes, you are the expert and people probably should really listen or pay attention to you, sometimes when we tell people they should do something, they do the exact opposite. And like I said, shifting to how I did this gives people the opportunity to see what you did and decide whether or not to try it on for themselves. This podcast is literally worth thousands of dollars for real. Hey guys, I hope you're loving today's episode. I am just taking a brief pause in today's episode to share with you a client testimonial. These testimonials are either from group coaching clients or clients who are in my one-to-one coaching program. And I can't wait for you to hear how I have changed their lives and their businesses for the better.
I was almost at a point where I was ready to quit my business because I was just so fed up with how I was feeling and where I was, but working with Jill, every time she's helped me up-level my business, every time I've been working with her, I've signed my next level, highest paying client. So I can't say enough about working with her and the mindset shifts that she's helped me with. I've gone from having a scarcity mindset and really clinging on to every client I could and not really letting them go when I know they're not aligned with me. But she's helped me move from that into more of a CEO mindset where I'm making decisions that I know are best for my business.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Now let's get back to the episode. Another amazing thing that this shift does is it gives value that directly relates to the transformation you help your clients with. If you're a coach, chances are that you became one because of your own transformation, your own up level, your own realization, your own existential crisis. Whatever it is, it was spurred by something that you have a deepened experience and knowledge in. And your clients want this transformation or some version of it. And detailing different parts of how you came through it or to this transformation is going to be insanely valuable for them. For example, there's so many things that I could say about becoming a six-figure coach despite imposter syndrome, insecurity, and fear. I have multiple things that I learned, moved through, had to process, etc. I could write content about it for days and days. And it's so much easier to give value through my own lived experience and my knowledge and my expertise from this place instead of just telling my soulmate client what I think they need to know to do the same. Because their journey will not be the same as mine, but there's still so much value in my journey. And finally, I really believe that the simple shift from how-to content to how I content eliminates imposter syndrome because it's what you've experienced, done, lived through, and can speak to. And similar to my first point, it requires you to see validity in your experience. And when you struggle with imposter syndrome, what is a telltale sign? You discount what you know and what you've experienced or achieved. But this shift in your marketing requires you to see each bit of your experience as valid and helpful and relevant. Because seriously, the thing that you think you should be ashamed of or that you don't want to reveal to your audience because you think that they'll think you're a fraud might be the very thing that your soulmate client will be able to connect with you on. One of my clients is a life and mindset coach for moms, and she helps them find the time and the energy to pursue their side hustle or goal or dream career. And something that she had huge imposter syndrome around was that she had a habit of falling off the wagon with her content. She'd be consistent for a bit and then just drop off. Within the first couple weeks of us coaching together, she came to the realization that her soulmate client probably feels bad about not being able to stick with something or falling off the wagon or not showing up for themselves. And her content is so fucking good now because she is just owning her experience and speaking from it and talking about how she shifted out of that mindset and out of that identity. So, go create me on Instagram at your coach Jill, and you'll see so many posts in which I demonstrate the how I content shift instead of how to. And I want you to try it for yourself and notice what comes up around it too. Any imposter syndrome about your own experiences, about what you think you're allowed to talk about or post about, etc. And that I'd love for you to apply to work with me so you can step even further into your power and create a 6-figure coaching business with a 6-figure identity to match. Fraud to 6 Figures is my one-to-one coaching container, and I have a spot with your name on it. Take the leap and bet on yourself and apply at the first link in my show notes. It'll be the best business decision that you will make in 2023, guaranteed. I love you guys, and I'll see you next week. Thanks so much for listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. Head to the show notes to learn how you can work with me, where you can buy my best-selling book, You're Not Special, and how to get on my email list for free. Screenshot this episode and add it to your Instagram stories, tagging me at Your Coach Jill. See you next time.